Joining me on GCS Today is Brian Johnson. He is a science teacher at East Gaston High School, and with him is one of his students, Lydia Walls. She is the first place overall winner in the high school division for the Gaston Regional Science and Engineering Fair. Thank you both for joining me here on GCS Today. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, Lydia, let's talk about your science fair project. It is titled Exercise-Induced Bronchoconstriction and Obesity. So how did you decide on this topic?
Yeah, so actually, through my research and stuff, I went through and I was like, well, we need to find a problem. He wanted me to find a problem within society and, how can we kind of mitigate this issue? And what I kind of saw is America in a whole, we have a very big obesity or overweight issue, and not only in adults, but also in teens. And you see it really a lot in schools now. It's becoming a bigger issue. And I'm really interested in the research process anyways. And I want to think about, well, how is this impacting our future? How is this impacting our bodies? Because obviously it's having an impact. So I was like, well, weight is carried a lot in our chest and just in the kind of this vestibular area. So I was like, well, how does that impact our lungs? And that's kind of how I got started on my whole project. And we basically found that, even kids without asthma or anything that impairs their lungs, the weight does have an impact on it. And with my future research, it's going to really help understand a little bit more about this future impact on our bodies.
So going into your research and thinking about your project, what did you want to accomplish?
Well, honestly, obviously, I wanted to accomplish my hypothesis and figure out a question to my or answer to my question. But honestly, I just want to learn a little bit more about the research process. I'm very interested in just that down the road, and just I love solving problems and just not having an exact answer, but deep analysis of problems. And this really helped me just understand a little bit more what maybe college would look like and just future careers down the road.
Okay, so with your research project, what are the main takeaways from the project that you really want people to know about?
Really, the main takeaway from it is not only obviously the result I got from it, that the weight can affect your lung capability, but also the fact that anyone can really do this type of research, and it's everything kind of has an impact on everything. So me, who's just a high school student, can go and research about this and maybe one day make a difference in the future about sports, how we train, how we take physicals and stuff like that. It's really anybody can do this. That's the main takeaway.
So, Mr. Johnson, what do you think about Lydia's project and her research?
Well, I'm not surprised at all with the research that Lydia's conducted. She's a very bright student, and like she said, she is definitely a problem solver and very curious about the world around her. What I thought was interesting is I remember the early conversations that we had when she was coming up with a topic. And early on, it was always the lungs that she was interested in. And it goes all the way back to cold air and how cold air would affect the lungs, if you remember that. But just talking about, when we're running outside and the air is really cold, does it have an effect on our lungs? And trying to come up with, it was always trying to figure out some sort of problem. And it kind of evolved into what it is today. And so that's been very impressive to me with her work, is that it's constantly, she's not afraid of change, and constantly looking for those new problems and different questions to ask.
And so as a teacher and a scientist looking at the research that she has conducted, what is most impressive about it when you consider that it's conducted by a high school student?
Right. I think the most impressive part to me is just the fact that she was able to identify somebody in the field that could be a potential mentor. She's worked with Dr. Granados, who is a pulmonary scientist, and so that's what he does, is he researches the lungs. And once we made the initial contact there, really Lydia's taken over. She's been fantastic. She has regular meetings with him virtually because he actually works in Texas. But she is constantly talking about what her procedure is. Am I really able to answer the questions that I want to answer? He shared information about what they're working on in the lab. And so just her determination to stick with it, and really to seek out professionals that can help her understand it a little bit better is what's been most impressive to me.
So Lydia, let's talk about your future plans. I am assuming that you might have an interest in a health-related field as a possible career. Is that right?
Yeah, so maybe not hands-on, but maybe like biomedical engineering was what I'm kind of looking towards, and maybe veterinary school. I don't know, maybe a mix between the two. But yeah, I'd like to attend like a university, obviously, and continue like this type of research of process and thought and just this type of planning in my mind that, I can always make an impact on the world. It can be, something small, but really healthcare and things like that. But for me, it's not just the helping today, it's helping tomorrow as well. I don't want to just make an impact on my generation, but for generations to come too. So things like biomedical engineering and stuff like that really excites me because it can make an impact on the future as well.
And from what little I've read about your project, I think, what advice would you give to someone who has heard what you have shared in regard to obesity and the effects that obesity has on a person's body, and how regular exercise helps with I guess, countering a situation related to obesity?
Yeah, so the main thing that I really wanted to get at was, a lot of people in America really can't help their weight if we think about it. Because like I found, there is this type of negative cycle. They want to go work out, they want to lose weight, but every time they do, it's difficult, it's hard to work out, and then obviously you're not getting the results you want. So what I want to know is like, get to know your body, go to a professional, get to know your body, and have them really plan out what you need to do, because I know a lot of people struggle with it. You see it all the time on social media, anywhere you go, struggle with their body image and things like that. But a lot of people don't want to sit down and take the time to really understand their body and the biological components that go into actually, getting the results you want. So that's like kind of the big takeaway I think you would think from that.
I think that's good advice for you to share, because like you said, people you get to know your body, listen to your body, and not there's not a one size fits all when it comes for an exercise program for people, because people are different.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know from a personal standpoint, like I play sports, and obviously not everyone has the same components when they're working out. Some people can run for longer distances, some people can't, and some people just handle certain exercises better. So this can also help on the athlete perspective too, with trainings and stuff like that.
So, Mr. Johnson, why is it important for your students like Lydia to be involved with scientific research?
Well, everything that I would say to answer that question, I think Lydia has already said. Science research is so important just because it solves problems. We always have problems in society, in our communities, whether it's local or global communities. And really, it's this exploration, it's this curiosity that scientists have to try to figure out answers to problems, to be able to solve those problems for the betterment of society. And I think that when you get young students like this, like Lydia, who are so excited about that research, and not only about the research, but about solving problems, as a teacher, that's just super exciting for me. It's infectious when students are excited like that.
And I think that for students in high school, if they develop a love for learning, they have a sense of curiosity, they learn to ask questions and to think critically and to try to seek answers. I think all of that goes a long way, of course, when you get to college and even in life.
Well, and we have students from all sorts of backgrounds. The science research program here at East Gaston is tied in with our medical pathway, but it doesn't have to be. We have students that are outside of the academy that are also taking the research class and involved in the research program. And even if they don't go into research, Lydia has a passion for it, and so she may go into research. But even my students who don't go that path, they're learning presentation skills, they're learning writing skills, they're learning mathematical skills because we're doing statistical analysis. They get confidence in being able to plan and conduct a a research project that no one else has thought about. And so they're putting this together and they're doing all of that work. And it gives them a lot of confidence as they move forward in their own learning to know that they can take on a large project like that and be successful in doing it. And that's one of the best parts of this program. And I see it almost every semester where a student gets done at the end of the semester with a benchmark wherever they have to be. And they step back and they'll say to me, I never thought I'd be able to do something like this. And they're so proud about their project and what they've been able to put together and how it looks and everything. And so that learning process, you're right, it just encourages students to be lifelong learners and to really have that sense of accomplishment and know that they can do a lot more than what they think they can.
And we are very proud of the Health Sciences Academy at East Gaston High School for the opportunities that are provided to students and the opportunities for students to explore and to find out about different careers in the healthcare field. So we're very proud of everything that you all are accomplishing at East Gaston with the Health Sciences Academy. So, Lydia, thinking about the Gaston Regional Science and Engineering Fair, what would you say to students now to encourage them to be involved with the science fair next year?
Yeah, so it's a great fair, and you might not always get the results you want, and you might not always have the best project there, but I think it's just a great atmosphere to be around people who really think like you do. I know sometimes at school you can kind of get a little bit of like critiques because it's not really normal to be this involved in a research project at school, and a lot of people really at school just don't care about the future or what impact they're really having. But to be around other individuals who think like you do and who want to solve issues, it's just a great feeling knowing that you can have conversations with them, you can look at what they do, and just see into what your generation could do for this world, really.
So you've encouraged a student to be a part of the science fair next year. What would you say to that student, or what piece of advice would you give to that student when he or she goes about developing the project?
The biggest advice I could give is just find something that you're passionate about. I know I'm very passionate about healthcare and really just making sure that people understand like their bodies and just the impacts that it has on them, because let's face it, this world, we don't have very healthy habits when it comes to our bodies. But my advice would just be find something passionate, because when you're passionate about something, you really want to do it and you're really determined to, find the answers for it. And you're going to love teaching it to people.
Brian Johnson, a science teacher at East Gaston High School, and Lydia Walls, a student, of course, at East Gaston. Lydia, again, we want to congratulate you on being the first place overall high school winner in the Gaston Regional Science and Engineering Fair. And I do believe that you also received some honors at the regional level. So congratulations on that as well. And we appreciate both of you taking time to be with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you.